The Mgpi processing incident is a major chemical accident that happened in the year 2016 during the month of October. The accidents are well known through a case study in industrial safety with the analysis of human error consequences. The whole event happened due to a mistake done by a worker who connected the sulfuric hose into the sodium hypochlorite fuel line accidentally. This report will be analyzing the industrial accident of Mgpi plant following the reaction from the sulfuric acid that was released and the potential risks and hazards the incident could cause to the environment. It is also important to discuss the failure that the company had in terms of safety and chemical management leading to the accident, from detailing regulations for the usage of chemicals in the plant. The case study suggests determining human factors contributing to the incident, potential engineering faults, and mishandling of regulated procedures that could help bring awareness to the industrial sector for the high risk of chemical unloading operations. Mgpi Processing Incorporation is a company operating a subsidiary of Mgpi Ingredients, located in an urban area of Atkinson, Kansas, United States. It was initially founded in 1941 as a small distillery and now operates on two primary business segments, mainly distilled products and ingredients. Distilled products involve food-grade alcohol, fuel-grade alcohol, and distiller's feed, while the ingredient segment processes wheat, protein, and starches for both food and non-food purposes. The analysis focuses on failure in safety, chemical management, and human factors, providing lessons for preventing similar incidents. Facility management should prioritize the design and operations of chemical transfer equipment, applying the hierarchy of controls and considering human factors to minimize inadvertent mixing and mitigate potential consequences. When chemical transport vehicle drivers are involved in unloading, shared responsibility between the chemical distribution company and facility management is crucial for ensuring safe unloading practice. This analysis emphasizes the factors contributing to the incident at Mgpi and offer key lessons of averting future similar incidents in facilities receiving chemicals and the companies delivering them.
The incident at Mgpi Processing on 21st October 2016 was caused by the accidental mixing of two highly incompatible industrial chemicals. The first substance was 30% sulfuric acid that was being delivered to the facility via a Hackers Chemicals cargo tank motor vehicle. The second substance that was already present in the facility's tank storage was 12.5% sodium hypochlorite, a type of pitch that is commonly used. The reaction involved an acid and a base, where sulfuric acid is a strong mineral acid that is capable of donating hydrogen ions, which makes it highly reactive and corrosive. On the other hand, sodium hypochlorite is a base and known as a strong oxidizing agent. Thus, these chemicals supposedly are used separately. The incident occurred during a routine unloading operation when the driver mistakenly connected the sulfuric acid discharge hose to the sodium hypochlorite fuel line because the dust cap on the fuel line was not properly secured. Thus, it resulted in the transfer of approximately 4,000 gallons of sulfuric acid directly into a tank containing an estimated 5,850 gallons of sodium hypochlorite. The mixing of these two incompatible and strong substances triggered an immediate reaction, where the strong acid, which is sulfuric acid, lowers the pH of the solution significantly. Therefore, the sodium hypochlorite tends to decompose rapidly because of the acidic environment. This reaction resulted in the release of a dense, greenish-yellow gas cloud. This plume was primarily composed of chlorine gas and other compounds. The theoretical quantity of chlorine gas produced by the reaction was estimated to be 3,490 pounds, assuming that no chlorine further reacted in the tank. Once the reaction began, the toxic plume released from the sodium hypochlorite bulk tank and expanded rapidly through a 3-inch diameter atmospheric vent and an 18-inch slit on the roof of the bulk tank. The cloud first covered the high-crest truck and the Mgpi building before migrating off-site in a northeast direction towards the surrounding community. The gas was subject to local wind patterns as the reaction occurred at an outdoor tank farm, which complicated the emergency response and required a broader evacuation orders because it involved the public.
So the overview of the Mgpi incident is caused by the accidental mixing of sulfuric acid and sodium hypochlorite, which resulted in a highly exothermic reaction and produced a dense cloud of toxic chlorine gas, and that this reaction affected surrounding areas and over 140 people were reported to receive medical attention. So moving on, we have the properties of the chemicals involved, which are sulfuric acid and sodium hypochlorite. So the key properties of sulfuric acid is that they are dense, colorless, and an oily liquid. It is highly soluble in water and strongly exothermic when diluted. They are also hygroscopic, which means that they absorb moisture from the air. And meanwhile, the chemical properties of sulfuric acid is that they are a strong acid, which means that they are highly corrosive to skin, metals, and biological tissues. It is also a powerful oxidizing agent, and that they react violently with water and metals, which will release flammable hydrogen gas. And as for sodium hypochlorite, the key property to this chemical is that it is colorless to a greenish yellow liquid with a strong chlorine odor. It is highly soluble in water and has a pH level that ranges from 10 to 13. And the chemical properties of sodium hypochlorite is that it is a strong oxidizing agent and disinfectant. And similarly to sulfuric acid, it is also a corrosive to metals and biological tissues. And sodium hypochlorite also releases toxic chlorine gas when it is mixed with acids. The primary hazard of this incident is the release of toxic chlorine gas that drifted off-site, which poses serious public health risks. So one of the health hazards of this incident are severe respiratory irritation that has the symptom of eye, nose, and throat irritation, coughing, chest tightness, and shortness of breath. Being highly exposed may cause pulmonary edema, pneumonia, or death. There is also a possibility of delayed symptoms after hours of being exposed. And as for the environmental hazards, the large scale of chemical release, which is about 4,000 gallons of sulfuric acid and 5,800 gallons of sodium hypochlorite, produce a massive dense cloud that spread over a wide area, which necessitate a shelter-in-place order for nearby residents. Furthermore, chlorine gas can damage plants and aquatic life and also form toxic byproducts in the environment.
The accidental mixing of sulfuric acid and bleach at the Mgpi plant resulted in a rapid chemical reaction, releasing approximately 300 to 500 pounds of chlorine gas. A greenish yellow plume spread beyond the plant, causing respiratory distress in over 140 people, with 6 recurring hospitalizations. The crisis was exacerbated by the rapid spread of gas, which disabled safety protocols as it entered the room control via the ventilation system, preventing the operators from accessing protective gear. Similarly, a delivery driver was unable to reach the truck's emergency shut-off valves. This incident escalated into a public health emergency, leading to the evacuation or sheltering in place of thousands of residents. This incident highlights critical failures in chemical regulations and SDS handling, revealing a disconnect between safety guidelines and actual practices during chemical offloads. Investigations showed that federal regulations from OSHA and PHMSA were not effectively implemented. The plant design allowed toxic gas to enter control rooms, undermining safety protocols. Driver lacked specialized training to recognize cross-contamination risk. Although industry-best practices like unique pipe fittings exist to prevent errors, they were not mandatory. This incident demonstrates that the strength of regulation depends on human training and engineering designs. Without clear labels and improved communication between supplier and facility, a single error can bypass federal safety standards. During and after the gas leak, SDS played a crucial role in aiding the industry during the emergency. KDHE utilized the national surveillance system to share information with hospitals and health departments about the health effects of sulfuric acid and sodium hypochlorite exposure. Mgpi facility hosted a discussion on chemical properties and hazards for local emergency responders and hospital representatives. They now require drivers and operators to sign a verification form to ensure correct chemical connection before unloading. The CSD investigation found that safety protocols were not effectively implemented, leading to regulatory oversights. The absence of active monitoring at Mgpi and hard course allowed hazardous deviations from safety procedures to go unnoticed. Critical design gaps were also present as Mgpi had not adopted industry best practices such as automatic shutoffs linked to the chlorine sensors or elevated air intakes. This lack of protective measures left the plant unequipped to shield occupants from toxic fumes, turning a human error into a large-scale crisis.
For this section, I'll be discussing the regulations and failures related to the Mgpi incident. In a 2024 conference, the Chemical Safety Board, or CSB, identified several major failures in risk-based process safety at Mgpi and its chemical supplier Harcross Chemicals. This included poor compliance with standard operating procedures, inadequate training and safety competence, weak emergency management, and an overall lack of process safety culture. Together, these deficiencies were identified as the root cause of the 2016 incident. So during the unloading of chemicals, both MGPI employees and Harcross driver failed to follow the established SOPs. The MGPI operator who was responsible for supervising the unloading process did not remain in the area, allowing the incorrect connection to go unnoticed. The CSB also found that there were insufficient operator training and a lack of performance audits. In addition, the facility did not have any remote or automated emergency shutdown systems. As a result, once the incompatible chemicals were connected and the reaction began, there was no way to stop the chemical flow quickly. Design flaws also played a critical role. In the chemical unloading area, the fill lines for sulfuric acid and sodium hypochlorite were placed only 18 inches apart, which violated OSHA and EPA regulations. The labeling was also inadequate, making it difficult to clearly identify the chemicals. And inside the production facility, emergency preparedness was insufficient. Employees were unable to access emergency respirators because they were stored in locked lockers, which could not be opened during the gas release. And in its final report, the CSB emphasized the need for improved safeguards, better chemical transfer equipment, and stronger regulatory compliance. Following the incident, MGPI agreed to pay a $1 million fine, and overall this incident highlights the critical importance of adhering to safety regulations, such as OSHA's hazard communication standard, to protect both workers and the surrounding environment.
Hello everyone, good day. I'm Avril Agata and today I'm going to present to you about the impact of accident. Firstly, we're gonna look at human and community impact. This slide outlines the human and community impact of the Mgpi chemical release. On October 21, 2016, a toxic plume affected both workers and local residents. More than 140 people sought medical treatment, including several who required hospitalization due to exposure to the chemical mixture. Because the release created hazardous airborne contamination, authorities ordered thousands of people to shelter in place or evacuate to protect their health. This response also placed significant demands on emergency services and highlight vulnerabilities in community preparedness for chemical emergency. Thank you. Hello, and now I'm going to explain about organizational and safety system impact of this incident. Investigation revealed that the accident was caused by a mistaken chemical connection, compounded by poor labeling and equipment design, which created conditions for human error. Additionally, both the plant personnel and the delivery driver did not follow proper unloading procedures, revealing gaps in training and safety culture. In response, the Chemical Safety Board issued recommendation to enhance equipment safeguard protocols and emergency system. This incident not only impact MGPI's operation but also serve as a learning case for the wider chemical and process safety community, stressing the importance of inter-organizational planning and risk management.
So with that, we can conclude this with 4 main points, with the first one being the primary causes, where the Mgpi employees failed to follow the standard operating procedures when handling and transporting the chemicals involved within this accident, which is sulfuric acid and sodium hypochlorite. This then causes the formation of a dense greenish-yellow cloud of chlorine gas to form and spread around the area of site as well. Followed by the second point, which is the impact of the accident, where Mgpi workers and the residents around the area suffered respiratory issues, and the environment in the surroundings were damaged as well. Other than that, the design and training issues point highlight the defective plant design, which pose challenges for the workers trying to resolve and handle the issue. Moreover, the inadequate training of the delivery driver also contributed to the severity of the incident. The fourth point, process safety issues, points out the shortcomings in risk-based process safety elements between Mgpi and their supplier across chemicals, where just to name a few include compliance with standards, safety competence, asset integrity and reliability, and as well as conduct of operations. So a few key lessons can be obtained through this, which the first one is always complying with strict safety rules and regulations. Second one, proper training and education of workers. Third one, effective plant design to avoid further issues and challenges. And finally, the fourth one, adhering to strong safety management systems in high-risk facilities. Thank you. And these are the references we used for this research. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed.